Welcome back. Hi, everybody. We're back to my interview series. I'm working on a new name. I'm thinking My Awesome Friend Mondays. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm Sex Coach Lex at Sex Coach Lex on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I am here with Intimacy.
Hello, my
Right.
name's Intimacy ConAmore. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and you can find me on the social media interwebs by doing a simple at Poly, Poly, free love. So Poly free love.
So, really quickly, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
All the things. No.
That seems to be a common theme.
The things I do. So there are many things, but the ones that are most passionate is I'm a nanny of 30 years, but I'm
Wow.
a sex positive nanny. And if you're not a parent who wants your children to be taught by a sex positive nanny, you're not my client. And then I also teach parents about sex positivity for themselves and for them teaching and supporting their children
Yeah.
in that.
Super important work.
My goal is for adults and children to grow up and not have shame around their bodies or their sexuality.
That sounds like a beautiful world.
Right. And then I do some other things, but they're not really related to sex education. I host local events, but also when I travel, I'll do like a pop-up event. Like, hey, let's get a poly coffee shop date going on because I'm in town.
That sounds like fun.
They usually are pretty fun.
So, do you have any, what's your favorite story of working with someone? And tell me a little about that person.
My favorite,
Doesn't have to be your absolute favorite, just one of your favorites.
yeah, this is my most. It was shocking to me. I was doing this work in my personal relationships and not knowing it was work or a
Yeah.
thing that people did.
Isn't that how so many of us start?
And so I had a partner, and I think at the time we'd been together like 7 years. And we were watching TV. And they were leaning forward on the couch, so I couldn't see their face. And I was leaning back, right, relaxing, and they were like, I want to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And they never looked at me, and they confided that they experienced some sexual trauma in their adult life.
Yeah.
And they expressed that they loved the way that they felt safe with me to tell me anything because they felt like I wasn't going to judge them or shame them.
Yeah.
And what's funny about that is when we first got together,
Yeah.
they were very judgy, shamey, slut shamey to me, but they loved me. They were just like, wow, you're wild. Wow, you do things. Wow, you don't give a shit. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm going to the grocery store without a bra. And can't we, like, in that relationship, I was like, no, I don't want to have sex today. I don't want to have intercourse today, but I'd like to have mutual masturbation and we can fondle each other. And they were like, that's so weird. And now it's like their favorite thing to do with me. And we do that so much so that that's our base sex life.
Okay.
And other things are just kind of rare here and there because that's the thing that we love the most with each other. And so later, a friend was like, you know what you're telling me there, that's a thing. There's a title for that. You could teach other people to have this kind of freedom with themselves and their partners and think outside of the box and change your mindset of sex is just penis and vagina sex.
Yeah.
Sex is if you receive pleasure from things with yourself or someone or others that you've negotiated it with.
Yeah.
Has nothing really to do. It's not based in penis has to be in vagina or penis has to be an asshole. Like, that's not a requirement. There's no requirement for there to necessarily be a penis or an asshole involved or even a vulva.
Yeah. I know you also do a lot of work with differently abled people, whether that's physical or mental. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
I would. So my history is I was born with arthritis.
Okay.
Did not know until I was 12, but started expressing pain at 6.
That makes sense.
And then there's a sports injury at 15, which has left me with a lifelong spine challenge situation. And to avoid surgery, I need to be mindful of taking care of my spine so that it doesn't get worse. But it's a daily pain kind of thing. And so as I get older, because I'm going to be 42 soon,
Yeah.
my body is not as resilient as it was when I was 6 and could like tumble down the hill and it's fine. It's just some bruises. If I go tumble down that hill now, it's going to be hella fun.
Yeah.
But when I get to the bottom, I'm going to probably have an asthma attack. And then the next day, probably really not even be able to get out of the bed except for roll out and crawl to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to teach myself to have words to tell others, hey, I can't do that position anymore, but it's my favorite. So can we modify it so we can still kind of get the same effect?
Yeah.
But with some care and concern about my spine. Like, I love doggy style, but it's not the best for my spine injury. But I like the force and the gravity of a person who is fucking me in doggy style.
Yeah.
I like that. Like, them pushing my body, that feels good to me. But it just needs to be in a way where they're mindful of how abrupt the impact is when they meet my body.
Yeah.
And then how the force can be resumed because our body's already touching. And then you're just pushing my body as opposed to like a hammer hitting a nail.
Yeah. Really slamming into
Yeah.
it.
So I started talking to friends,
Yeah.
other friends who have challenges around their health. And they were like, yeah, sometimes I'm so depressed, I don't want to have sex. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because I don't even want to have the conversation about my accommodations and needs. And I'm like, should we look at this and wonder, you know, is it you? Or is it that you don't trust maybe the partner that you don't want to talk to about it? And maybe you should have a conversation with them about, hey, sometimes I feel pressured or not comfortable enough to tell you these things. I would like to be comfortable to talk to you about these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, talk it out.
Yeah.
Either it's a yes or a no, it's a let's work on it.
Yeah, and those kind of conversations work both ways. It could be either there could be some kind of trust issue between the partner. It could be your own shame about talking about sex in general.
Yeah.
So you're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And those are two different kinds of work. Very often it's both. So yeah, it's really important work. So thank you for sharing that. Is there anything you're working on right now that you want to let people know about?
So I am working on trying to make a schedule, an event schedule, like a year out. So people don't find out like at the event or 2 weeks before that I'm going to be in town, but they know where I'm going to be.
Okay.
So they can plan to have like a day off work to come to some event and see me. I'm working on a book or 2. Maybe a big book that comes out in like 3-part series or something. We don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Is it still in the seminal phases, or do you have like a little idea of where you want to go with it?
I have the titles of the chapters
Okay.
and multiple titles to the book. We're just trying to decide on one.
So what's the topic that you're covering? Or is it a compendium? If you want to share. We're very consent-based here.
It's more of a, what do they call it when you write mostly about yourself?
A memoir?
Yes. It's more of a memoir, but also with opportunities for other people to learn and grow for themselves. Like, it's about the things that I've been through to learn and grow, but I'm giving you the information that I had to work very hard to collect for myself to learn and grow.
Yeah.
So if you read it, you can skip some steps in your learning and growing process.
Yes.
But it's not a how-to book. It's this is my journey. This is what happened to me. This is what I've learned.
Yeah.
These are the things that were great to find out to help me become more of who I am and unpack shame, slut shaming, issues around nudity, issues around, is it okay to touch myself, or am I gonna go to hell because that's what some Christian people tell you, that you can't touch yourself. I've been touching myself since I was 11, still haven't gone to hell, so I don't know when that's gonna happen. And the happiness that I'm getting from touching myself might be worth it. I don't know.
I'm definitely not arguing with that one. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So let's start following her. Make sure she gets that schedule out. Make sure you get that book out. So let me ask you this. What's one thing that you've done in the past year that's had a huge impact on you personally or professionally?
I trusted some recommendations from other sex educators who have been doing this work far longer than me. And that information, they said, hey, you should go to a POC only event.
Yes.
So my father's African American with some other stuff. My mother's predominantly Native American, but she looks white, so the world treats her as a white woman.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really like white people. But anyways, that's weird. So I was like, why? Like, I couldn't see where the benefit would be in it for me to go to a POC only event. Because in Texas, there's this huge argument in my area, environment. You know, my black friends and my black family members, some of them don't consider me black. But if you talk to my white friends and white family members, they consider me black. And they don't consider me white. And it's like, is there really a test here? Is there like a, can it just be me? Does it matter what you think or what you think? Like, I'm just me.
Yeah.
Fuck off. And so I went to a POC only event. And it's like recent. like I don't really have the words to explain how correct my friends who told me I should go to a POC only event were about how you feel. Like the level of camaraderie and them just understanding you and like the lack of judgment or the lack of me being conscious of possibly being judged.
Yeah.
It's just not there. It just, it feels like a safe environment in a way that I don't have words to really draw the picture yet. Because I'm still lingering in the shock of it. Like, it was amazing.
Can I ask you a few questions about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
To maybe like help clarify.
Okay.
So, because I've heard a lot about these kinds of things, and one of the main things is that I've heard is when you're not in a space like that, there is, for one, a lot of self-editing that's happening as you're moving through the world, because you're conscious that people's preconceived notions might affect the way they judge your everyday movements. And
True.
whereas there, you don't have to think about that. Is that part of the effect?
Yeah.
Would you say that? Yeah.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
Yes, for
So
sure.
That reminds me a lot of when we were working with Kathy Vartuli, and she talked about the beach ball that you're always pushing down. So when you don't have to like spend that energy on that, you're free to be more yourself.
Yeah.
Spaces like that are really important for people. So
Thank you for helping me have some other words to describe it too.
Yeah.
But
My
definitely,
pleasure.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I actually, so it was a play party,
Okay.
and I've been going to play parties for far longer than some people might think is appropriate, but it's fine. I was legal. I was barely legal. I was 18, and hanging out with 30-year-old people, and so I guess for the first time in like 23 years, I was at an event where there were no people that were not of color. Also, there were no people who were not queer. This was a queer POC event, which is another level to the safety.
Yes.
And I was so comfortable. I don't know, maybe there was like 20, 30 people there, and I only knew before I went to the event, I only knew 3 people.
Okay.
And one of them I'd only met like 2-3 days before. So really I only knew 2 people there that I could absolutely trust with myself. I was so comfortable. I took my shirt off. I took my bra off. I laid down. I was watching other people play. I was exhausted because we had just spent 5 days at a conference.
Right.
And I was sick the week before leading up to the conference. And so I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
And I laid down. I was watching people play. And I just felt so comfortable. I went to sleep. I don't go places I've never been with people I don't know, take my shirt off, and go to sleep.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen. And that was the most moving part of that experience, is that my body felt so comfortable. I was like, yeah, we're taking a nap. And I was like, this feels good. Okay, we're going to take a nap. It was wonderful.
That was beautiful. I really appreciate you sharing that with me.
Thank you.
You very much. I got tingles.
It is tingly in the good kind of way.
So, thank you once again, Intimacy, for joining me. And one more time for everybody, where can they find you on the social medias?
They can find me if you Google search at symbol Poly, Poly, free, Free, love, Love, all together, no spaces, nothing special.
Yeah.
I'm on Snapchat, which I need to download on my new phone. My followers are probably like, where's she at? I'm on Instagram. I do pop-up Instagram lives where I'm showering, sometimes masturbating. You should follow my story.
Hope it doesn't get me kicked off YouTube.
So far. I'm just talking about it. We're not showing them.
Okay, I don't know how this thing works.
YouTube pretty much, they'll let you talk about anything.
Okay.
But they won't let you show the things.
See, this is why it's great to meet with other sex educators. We learn from each other.
Keep what you show visually PG. But they'll let you talk about anything. I mean,
nice.
Don't talk about maybe murdering people or something. I wouldn't know.
That'd probably go over easier than talking about sex, honestly.
Well, maybe. And yeah, so I'm Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, WordPress blog, which I need to start putting some content out there for you guys. And, I am the brand ambassador for Poly Dallas.
Yes.
Which is a nonprofit who holds local community events in Dallas, Texas, and they do an annual conference in July, around the middle of July, usually the second weekend in July. There won't be one this summer, but our 2020 event will be the 5th year anniversary. We had to take a hiatus this year. And then I am also a brand ambassador for Tickle.life. Which is an online community that's a safe space for sex-positive people, sex-curious people, people who are not the average cis heterosexual, and we welcome cis and heterosexual. All people are welcome. They welcome people who work in sex careers. So check it out, Tickle.life, Poly Dallas. Poly Free Love, that's me.
All right.
And thank you for interviewing me.
My pleasure.
This is exciting, and I can't wait to see it.
So I'm Sex Coach Lex at Sex Coach Lex on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as sexcoachlex.com, where you can find my blog, the Bad Sex Advice blog, where I take user-submitted bad sex advice, say why it's bad, and what you can do instead. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Until next time.